Welcome back to Today on the News Reviews YouTube channel.
It's great to be back.
Today, we're diving deep into something that sounds like it's straight out of Star Trek.
Oh.
Quantum teleportation over the internet.
That's right.
Samantha, you're our quantum expert. Is this really happening?
It is. And it's even more amazing than it sounds. We're talking about sending information instantly.
Instantly.
Using the same internet cables you use every day.
Hold on, let me catch my breath. We're going to need a roadmap for this journey.
Samantha.
Where are we headed today?
Okay, sure. Let's break it down into 3 stops.
3 stops.
First, we'll take a quick trip through history, from the first underwater cables to the fiber optics that power our internet today.
Okay.
That'll help us appreciate how far we've come.
Makes sense.
Second, we'll unpack the science behind quantum teleportation. It's mind-bending stuff, but I promise we'll make it understandable.
I'm counting on you.
And finally, the main attraction, how researchers actually pulled this off, sending quantum information over regular internet cables.
Buckle up, everyone. Samantha's taking us from Morse code to mind-blowing physics all in one episode. But first, let's set the stage. We're so used to instant communication these days. It's hard to imagine a time when sending a message across the ocean took days, weeks, even months.
You're telling me. Back in the 1800s, the fastest way to send a message across the Atlantic was by ship. Can you imagine waiting weeks to hear from loved ones?
No way. So someone had a brilliant idea. Let's run a cable under the ocean. Samantha, tell us about the first transatlantic cable.
Oh, it was completed in 1858, a massive feat of engineering.
Wow.
They laid over 2,000 miles of cable, and at first it worked. Queen Victoria sent a message to President Buchanan, and it took just 16 hours to arrive.
That must have felt like magic at the time.
It really must have.
But wait, didn't I read that the first cable failed pretty quickly?
Unfortunately, yes. The technology was still very primitive. They used weak electrical signals, and the insulation on the cable wasn't very good. After just a few weeks, the signal degraded and the cable became unusable.
So back to square one.
Not quite. They learned from their mistakes, improved the technology, and in 1866 laid a more robust cable that actually lasted. But even then, it could only send about 8 words per minute. Imagine typing that slowly.
Wow, that puts our internet speeds into perspective. But Samantha, those early cables were just the beginning, right?
Yeah.
How did we get from 8 words a minute to the lightning-fast connections we have today?
Well, it's a story of constant innovation. Over the decades, engineers developed better cables, stronger signals, and clever ways to amplify those signals across long distances. They invented repeaters, basically signal boosters, that allowed them to send information further and faster.
So repeaters were a key step toward the modern internet. But Samantha, what about the cables themselves? Didn't they eventually switch from copper wires to something else?
You're right, Derek. In the late 20th century, fiber optic cables revolutionized data transmission. Instead of electricity, they use light to carry information, and they can handle massive amounts of data at incredible speeds.
Okay, that makes sense. Light travels faster than electricity, so of course fiber optics would be a game changer. But, hold on, if we're talking about quantum teleportation, doesn't that involve something even weirder than light?
It does. And that brings us to our second stop, the mind-bending world of quantum physics.
All right, Samantha, time for you to work your magic and explain this in a way that even I can understand.
I'll do my best, Derek. The key to quantum teleportation is something called entanglement. It's a strange phenomenon where 2 particles become linked no matter how far apart they are.
Linked? How is that even possible?
Think of it like this. Imagine you have 2 coins that are magically connected. If you flip one coin and it lands on heads, the other coin instantly flips to tails, even if they're miles apart.
Whoa, that's spooky. So these particles are like linked coins, always doing the opposite of each other.
It's a good analogy, Derek. In reality, it's even stranger than that. The particles aren't just mirroring each other, they're sharing a single unified state. It's like they're 2 halves of the same thing, even when they're separated. And here's the kicker. If you change the state of one particle, the other one instantly changes too.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects to teleportation.
Yeah.
Are you saying we can use these entangled particles to send information?
That's exactly it. By manipulating one of the entangled particles, we can instantly affect the state of the other one, no matter how far away it is.
So we're not actually teleporting physical objects like in Star Trek. We're teleporting information using these entangled particles as a kind of bridge.
That's a great way to put it, Derek. And that brings us to our final stop, the groundbreaking research that made this all possible.
All right, Samantha, let's hear about how scientists actually pulled off quantum teleportation over the internet. This is where it gets really interesting.
So how did they do it?
Yeah, like how do you even begin to set up an experiment like that?
Well, Derek, you need a few key ingredients. First, you need a way to create entangled particles.
Okay.
This usually involves specialized lasers and crystals that can generate pairs of photons,
Clotons.
those tiny packets of light that are linked in this spooky way.
Okay, so we've got our entangled photons ready to be our quantum messengers. What's next?
Now you need a way to separate those entangled photons and send them to different locations.
Okay.
This is where the internet comes in.
Uh-huh.
Researchers at Northwestern University used a 30-kilometer stretch of fiber optic cable,
Wow.
the same kind that carries your everyday internet traffic.
Wait, hold on. We're sending these delicate entangled photons through the same cables that carry cat videos and emails.
Right.
Wouldn't all that other data interfere with the quantum information?
That was the biggest challenge. It's like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded stadium.
Yeah, I can see that.
The researchers had to find a way to make sure the quantum signal didn't get lost in all the noise of the regular internet traffic.
So how did they do it? Did they have to shut down the internet for this experiment?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, good.
They came up with some very clever workarounds.
All right.
First, they realized that certain wavelengths of light, specific colors, if you will experience less interference from the typical data flowing through the cables.
Interesting.
So they chose to send the entangled photons at those less crowded wavelengths.
Okay, that's pretty smart. So they found a quieter channel within the cable for the quantum information to travel through.
Yeah.
But wouldn't there still be some interference?
You're right, Derek. That's why they also use specialized filters on either end of the cable
Okay.
to further isolate those specific wavelengths, blocking out the rest of the light noise. It's like wearing noise-canceling headphones to tune out all the distractions.
So they had this super specific light signal representing the quantum information
Yes.
traveling on a quiet wavelength
Right.
and then filtered out any remaining distractions.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right.
But how did they actually confirm that the teleportation worked?
They had to set up a system to measure the state of the entangled photons at both ends of the cable.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about those linked coins?
Yeah.
If one flips to heads, the other flips to tails.
Hmm.
Well, the researchers did something similar with the photons. They set up detectors to measure a particular property of the photons, and if the teleportation was successful, the measurements at both ends would be correlated.
Correlated.
Perfectly matched, just like those linked coins.
And did it work?
It did!
No way.
The researchers saw that perfect correlation, proving that the quantum information had indeed been teleported over the 30-kilometer cable, riding alongside all the regular internet data.
Wow.
It's a real triumph of ingenuity and precision.
Samantha, I'm trying to wrap my head around the implications of this.
Yeah.
We're not talking about some theoretical physics experiment here.
Yeah.
This is happening on the actual internet, the same one we use every day. What could this mean for the future?
That's the exciting part, Derek. This breakthrough opens the door to a whole new world of possibilities. Imagine a quantum internet that could revolutionize everything from communication to computing.
A quantum internet. What would that even look like?
It wouldn't necessarily replace our current internet, but rather enhance it with mind-blowing capabilities. For one, think about security.
Okay.
Right now, all our online communications are vulnerable to hacking. But with quantum encryption, we could create unbreakable codes, completely transforming cybersecurity as we know it.
Samantha, I'm already sold on this quantum internet. No more worrying about hackers stealing my passwords. What else can it do?
Well, Derek, imagine a world where sensors could detect minute changes in the environment with unprecedented precision, all thanks to the sensitivity of entangled particles.
Okay.
We could have earthquake prediction systems that could save lives, medical diagnostics that could detect diseases at their earliest stages, and environmental monitoring systems that could track climate change with pinpoint accuracy.
Whoa. So we're talking about a future where we can predict earthquakes, diagnose diseases earlier, and even track climate change better, all thanks to this quantum internet. It's mind-boggling.
And that's not all. Quantum computing, which could revolutionize fields like medicine materials, science, and artificial intelligence,
Wow.
could be linked up through this quantum internet, creating a network of unimaginable processing power.
Okay, Samantha, I need a moment to process all this. We've gone from sending telegrams across the ocean to teleporting information instantly, and now we're talking about unbreakable codes, super sensors, and quantum computers connected across the globe. It's a lot to take in.
It is, Derek. But what's even more fascinating is that this is just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface of what's possible with quantum technology.
Okay, Samantha, you've convinced me. The future is quantum. But before we get too carried away with all these amazing possibilities, let's take a step back and talk about the human side of this story.
Mhm.
Behind every groundbreaking technology, there are brilliant minds, fascinating stories, and sometimes even a touch of serendipity. What can you tell us about the people who paved the way for this quantum revolution?
It's true, the history of technology is full of fascinating people. Some are well known, like Albert Einstein, whose theories of relativity paved the way for our understanding of quantum mechanics.
Right.
But there are so many others who deserve recognition,
Yeah.
people whose contributions might surprise you.
Okay, Samantha, give us some examples. Whose story stands out to you?
One that always comes to mind is Hedy Lamarr.
Hedy Lamarr.
Yeah, most people remember her as a glamorous Hollywood actress from the 1930s and 40s,
Uh-huh.
but she was also a brilliant inventor.
Wait, Hedy Lamarr? The movie star? I had no idea.
It's true. During World War II, she co-invented a system for secure communication called frequency hopping. The idea was to prevent the enemy from jamming radio signals controlling torpedoes.
So she was working on a way to make military communications more secure. That's amazing.
It was revolutionary at the time, and it's even more fascinating.
What's that?
Her inspiration came from piano music.
Piano music. How on earth does that connect to secure communication?
Well, she and her co-inventor, a composer named George Antheil, realized that if they could make the radio signal jump rapidly between different frequencies,
Yeah.
kind of like a melody jumping between notes, it would be much harder to intercept or jam.
Uh-huh.
It's like trying to catch a butterfly that keeps flitting from flower to flower.
That's brilliant. So Hedy Lamarr, the Hollywood star, helped invent a technology that would eventually influence Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and even GPS. I'm speechless.
It's a reminder that innovation can come from the most unexpected places and that we should never underestimate the power of a curious mind.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, Samantha, what about the internet itself? Who are some of the key figures we should remember?
Well, Derek, we have to start with J.C.R. Licklider. Back in the 1960s, when computers were still these giant room-filling machines,
Right.
he had a vision of a global network that would connect people and allow them to share information freely.
So he was a true visionary, imagining the internet before it even existed.
He called it the Intergalactic Computer Network, and while the name might sound a bit dated now, his ideas laid the foundation for the development of the ARPANET, the precursor to the internet we know today.
And then, of course, there's Vint Cerf and Robert Kahn, who are often called the fathers of the internet. What was their key contribution?
They developed the TCP/IP protocol,
Okay.
which is basically the set of rules that allows different computers to communicate with each other over the internet.
I see.
It's like a universal language that allows your laptop to talk to a server on the other side of the world.
So thanks to them, the internet could grow from a small network of research computers into this global phenomenon that connects billions of people.
Exactly. And then we have Tim Berners-Lee, who in the late 1980s invented the World Wide Web.
The World Wide Web. The thing we all use every day but rarely think about. What made his invention so revolutionary?
He gave us the web browser hyperlinks in the first website. He made the internet accessible to everyone, not just computer scientists.
Okay.
Before the web, the internet was mostly text-based and difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
Berners-Lee envisioned a user-friendly, interconnected web of information where people could easily share and access knowledge.
So he's the reason we can watch cat videos and shop for shoes online.
Well, he might not have imagined those specific applications, but yes, his vision fundamentally shaped the way we use the internet today.
Samantha, it's incredible to think about how far we've come from those early pioneers who dreamt of connecting computers across vast distances to the researchers who are now teleporting information through those very same connections. It feels like we're living in the future. But as you said earlier, this is just the beginning.
You're absolutely right, Derek. The quantum internet is still in its early stages, and there are many challenges ahead. But the potential is enormous. Imagine a world where we can communicate with absolute security, where sensors can detect the faintest signals from the universe, and where quantum computers can help us solve some of humanity's biggest challenges. It's a future worth striving for.
It certainly is, Samantha. And who knows, maybe one of our listeners today will be inspired to contribute to this quantum revolution.
I hope so, Derek. After all, innovation thrives on curiosity, creativity, and a willingness to push the boundaries of what's possible.
Well said, Samantha. And on that note, we encourage everyone to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around us. Until next time, stay curious.